everything's important except our future. And this is Karina, and this isn't as positive, okay? In fact, it's really kind of not. But I really like this paper because it's something that I've laughed at this commercial totally like over and over again, and like I almost quote from it sometimes. And like I'll say a word from it, and I'll be like, oh, and I see James Earl Jones and Rodney McDowell, and I'm like quoting from this picture in my mind, this commercial in my mind. But what I really liked was she looked at it in a way that had never occurred to me, and so I always love that. I'm like, oh. And part of it is, who are we, right? We look at things always from our own place, our own experience, our own bias. We cannot help being ourselves. We are who we are, and that's everything that's surrounded us that makes us that. And so, yeah, we're going to see things differently because of that. So I love this. So let's take a look at it real quick. And then we're going to do some practice so we can get 100 for a Friday, because need 100 on a Friday, right? We need some practice. And then we'll go home. Everything's important except our future. Everything. It has been stated many times before that propaganda and subliminal messages fed to us through TV can alter and change the way we think. Although many people find this topic unrealistic and even might feel it's a conspiracy theory, we might want to take a closer look at what messages we are really projecting. Many of us can look back on our childhood and recall many positive reinforcements. It's hard to remember how many times we were told that we were the future, but are we doing that to our younger generation? It is easy to say that we motivate our younger family members. However, social media, propaganda, and TV are doing the same. Kavanaugh, boom, there's our date, says, and that's a he said, she said, so boom, just throw that comma in there. Kavanaugh says, our social myths, our economic gospels, and our revelation system of television, advertising, and print and matter are a formation system, educating us towards certain values, attitudes, and modes of behavior. And there we have the section, or the location. This could not be truer. We, the adult community, are setting standards and allowing standards to be set for our children. In this commercial for Sprint, so here we have the date. At Sprint, everything's important. Teens are comically portrayed in a very unrealistic manner, but it's convincing enough to leave us adults wondering how broad our youth mentality really is. Our youth is being patronized and underestimated, and we adults are in return not being supportive to encourage their confidence. So what's being sold between the lines? That stuff is this patronizing kind of thing. The Sprint commercial is very simplistic, and so here she's moving into it. When she says Sprint, she's the author, and then boom, she's going straight into, quote from it. It begins with a yellow screen. Sprint honors Lizzie and Kim's call, featuring James Earl Jones and Malcolm McDowell. These two men are dressed in suits and are in the center focus with nothing but stools and a black background. As they begin to speak narratively, the first impression given is a serious one, set by the imagery, tone, and their voices alone. As the commercial progresses, it becomes comical, as the dialogue between them is very much juvenile and mindless. They have a dialogue about how hot a certain boy named Ryan is, and continue to repetitively gush about Ryan's good looks in a purely slang-based language. Their facial expressions are very serious, but the mannerisms used are very suiting to a girly conversation between them. Malcolm McDowell has his arms crossed, but has a sassy sway as he says, Avi, he's amazeballs. He's like the hottest hottie who ever hottied. James Earl Jones holds a straight posture with one exception. His hands are curled out like a gushing teen, and he continuously moves them to express how hot Ryan is. The conversation goes back and forth in dialogue consisting of slang such as totes, McGoats, cray-cray, McHotterson, and adorbs. The commercial ends with another yellow screen and a narrative voice saying, in honor of everything you do. So, oops, forgot the quote there, right? Because what does it say? Don't forget quotes on both sides. Okay. So, there we go. There's the description. Y'all seen that one? We'll look at it after this. The commercial is disparaging to teens despite its goal. Sprint would like to deliver the message that no matter what your conversations consist of, no matter how extensive your talks or texts may be, they care about and honor you. What they really are saying is, no matter how mindless and time-consuming your teenage kids' conversations are, we have reliable plans that won't leave you broke. The irony of this commercial is that it's so adult-made, it has close to no reflection of the truth to how youth really converse, speak, or even what slang terms they use. We are portraying them so poorly and negatively in this commercial and fail to see how far from reality we adults are. This commercial leaves a little real tape in our minds, leaving us with a long-lasting impression that teenage girls do in fact use this speech and also indeed repetitively say things over and over. What is going unnoticed is that we are also leaving this same real tape in our children and teenagers' minds. It is a fact that teenagers are very impressionable, and having commercials like this, we are consequently building a mold for what we expect them to be and how we expect them to act. In an article, Jesus is the Brand of Jeans, Kilborn, boom, 2006, states, on this deeper level, rampant commercialism undermines our physical and psychological health, our environment, and civic life, and creates a toxic society. And there's the section. We are allowing for commercialism to undermine the people of tomorrow, and as Kilborn stated, creating a toxic society. Additionally, this ad set up a negative model for our young people. While many of us laugh when watching this commercial, that is the problem. We don't notice or fix something unless we see it for what it really is. The comic relief used in this commercial makes it so passive that it nearly goes unseen. What is not unseen is our reaction to the commercial. And for many of us with younger family members watching us laugh at this type of behavior, we are giving them a guideline for what we find acceptable and likable. Just because this group of people, 10 to 17-year-olds, may not all be considered children, does not mean they still are not constantly looking up to us and trying to please us. Unknowingly, the commercial is aiding us to create a mold of stupidity for younger family members. We are showing them that this mindless conversation is likable and completely acceptable, and we are silently telling them that it's okay to be brain dead because it's funny. This leaves our future generation in a small mold that is easy to fill, but what happens once this mold is set? Years later, these young children and teens, the ones these commercials are targeted toward, are the ones on whom we will be relying to clean our teeth, do our taxes, and check our hearts. They are the people of tomorrow. We are limiting them in a passive and quiet manner. This one commercial is not single-handedly ruining our future, but this commercial is one of many spewing the same image to our kids. Not only are we patronizing our youth, but also we are being convinced to not have faith in tomorrow or the people of tomorrow. If we continue to ignore this subliminal brainwash, we are unfortunately leaving the aspirations of many children and teens to go unheard and unnoticed. We must all keep in mind that this is not solely Sprint or commercials in general. It is not TV shows or music or any type of propaganda that do this to our adolescents. We adults are in control. An advertisement can only go so far and do so much, but it's we who indoctrinate our youth. We must continue to be supportive, not just of those we love, but those around us of all ages. It is vital to remember that these young faces will be the ones who guide us and help us through our older age. We must view commercials as simply that, commercials, and be thoughtful when it comes to what messages we accept and pass on. So I love it because I'd watched that commercial over and over, and I'd never once thought about analyzing it. And I was like, oh my God, you're so right.